Tonight on Grady Newsource, we're bringing you results and reactions from one of the most historic elections in this country's history. Political expert Dr. Audrey Haynes will also come in and share her analysis following the election, and we'll bring you some important updates on local and state races that take place right where you're sitting. We'll also show you how a community garden is making a difference in Athens, just one plant at a time. All of this and more tonight on Grady Newsource.
This is Northeast Georgia's only local source for TV news. From the Grady College at the University of Georgia, this is Grady Newsource.
Good evening and welcome to Grady Newsource. I'm your anchor, Ethan Wright, and we'll begin with tonight's top story. Donald J. Trump has won the presidential election. His challenger, Kamala Harris, called Trump to concede the race. Trump's victory makes him only the second president in U.S. history to win split terms other than Grover Cleveland. Grady Newsource reporter Melanie Levy joins us from the newsroom with the winners of other key races. Melanie?
Hey, Ethan, that's right. And here are some results from Georgia. Republican Mike Collins has won the 10th U.S. District, and Republican incumbent Frank Ginn has gotten his seat in the state Senate for District 47. Also, Houston Gaines won the race for U.S. House District 120, which covers parts of Athens and surrounding areas. Kalki Yalamanchili will be the new district attorney for the Western Judicial Circuit, winning the election in both Athens-Clarke and Oconee counties. Yalamanchili is a former prosecutor, and he ran as an independent, defeating incumbent Deborah Gonzalez. Ethan, back to you.
Thank you, Melanie. Earlier today, I had the opportunity to speak to political analyst Dr. Audrey Haynes to get a better understanding of what happened in this year's presidential election. Take a listen.
All right, thank you, Melanie. So back here at the desk, we are joined by Dr. Audrey Haynes, political analyst, and we're just gonna do a short interview, ask her a couple of questions just to get a better understanding of what took place in this year's presidential election. How are you doing today?
I'm just fine.
I'm all right. So the first question that I would like to ask you is, what happened? We heard all of this news about all of these voter turnout records, and then we know in 2020 we had one of the largest absentee ballot castings that we've had in history.
So what happened in this election?
Well, I will say it sort of reverted back to the mean in the sense that it was far more of a typical election than most people would admit, even though the cast of characters was different. So you had a returning person who had been a president, who has quite a lot of scandals and a reputation, who had been campaigning against Biden for almost 2 years prior to this election. And then there was so much controversy and pushback from the Democratic Party that he decided he was not going to, and we had a very truncated, very short period in which the Democratic Party used a very limited process to choose the vice president to become the nominee. So it was different in that we had a very short general election campaign, but then the rest of it was very similar.
Okay, so you mentioned the Senate and the House races. Now that it seems that the Republicans may have, if not already have, taken that control of the Senate, and as you said, they're working on the House, what could that mean for democracy going forward, especially with things that have been proposed like Project 2025? Should we expect some of these things to come into fruition?
Well, I would say that we still have the filibuster. Unless you have a supermajority in the Senate, it is very difficult to just go through and get legislation passed. During the Biden administration, there was actually quite a bit of bipartisan legislation that was passed, and I would expect that, Trump, being a second-term president, being term limited, may be concerned about some issues that are important to him, the economy and immigration. And if you've read Project 2025, there is so much in there, and it is so granular that the likelihood that that could be put into place in any short period of time, especially 2 years before the midterms, is highly unlikely.
All right, and then my final question for you, the youth turnout of this election, did that catch you by surprise? Were you surprised that Gen Z maybe didn't represent the way that some people thought that they would have?
Are very strong protectors and users of the right to vote, disagreeing with some of the younger members of their community about, how they should act during this election, whether they should withhold their vote or not. I would argue too that, you know, sometimes economic issues worry young people, and they're concerned about buying a home, and they're concerned about paying for college, and they're concerned about getting jobs. And some of them might be listening to that, you know, that populist Trump message that, you know, remember, I did this and it was great and I'm going to do it again.
All right, well, that is all the time that we have for today. Dr. Haynes, I want to thank you for joining us today and have a great day. Kamala Harris won the presidential race in Athens, Clarke County with 69% of the vote. District 10's U.S. House of Representatives election swung blue with 66% of the vote, going to candidate Alexandra Doherty. All state Senate and House races went to the Democratic candidates. There was a higher voter turnout with about 74% of registered voters casting their ballots, but during a time of political polarization, a nonpartisan group is taking a unique approach to promote unity. Grady Newsource reporter Savannah Hernandez gives us an inside look at their efforts.
Election day in Athens, Clarke County brought a wide range of strong opinions from voters.
Prices was on my mind because you can't go in the grocery store, literally $100 gets you maybe 5 items nowadays.
With my job, I worked with a lot of immigrants, and so I hear a lot of stories about their life and their struggles. And
sometimes I see these pictures of these late-term abortions, and it's like you can see that it's a kid, and so that hurts.
Despite their differences, most voters we spoke to said political division was a concern for them. A recent study shows that more than half of Democrats say the Republican Party makes them afraid, while 49% of Republicans feel the same about the Democratic Party.
I absolutely cannot stand the polarization of this country.
I think this is like the most divided this country has ever been.
But one group at the polls sounded a note of unity on Election Day. DJs at the polls is a nonpartisan group that wants to help celebrate democracy.
Where they're putting DJs at the poll to bring up, you know, the morale of the people that's coming to vote because of the way the climate is with politics.
DJ stations popped up at the polling sites across Athens and nationwide. The goal, to increase voter turnout and bring people together when they go to vote.
I just want you to have a smile on your face when you're going inside the building to cast your vote, or whoever you're voting for.
Shout out to those two gentlemen for bringing a little bit of fun to democracy. Right next door, Republican candidates swept in Oconee County with almost 28,000 of the county's voters showing up to vote, with the majority voting early in person. Newsource reporter Juliana Russ has more on that turnout.
Oconee County's voter turnout this year was high. 86% of registered Oconee County voters cast a ballot compared to 73% across Georgia.
We had probably 25 people standing outside at 7 this morning, and it's been steady since then.
This turnout was a community effort.
Just brought my friends to the polls. They didn't have a way to get here, so I was trying to help out. We're voting.
DJs showed up at some polling locations to keep things fun, and lines were pretty manageable throughout the day.
Super smooth. They've got, you know, candy when you walk in the door.
It was so easy. I thought it was going to be packed.
Katie Pinkerton was one of many parents bringing their children to the polls. Her daughter Maeve is only 12 months old.
Became a voter a little bit later, like in the 20s, mid-20s, so I hope to educate her a little bit more and for her to start voting right away.
Christina Hines voted for the first time in 2020. Before that, she never felt the need to.
This year it's totally different, you know. I've looked into it and I really think, you know, it's important.
An AP poll this year found that the economy, immigration, and abortion were top issues for voters nationwide, and the same appeared to be true in Oconee County.
I think we really need somebody who's a business person back in office.
Women's rights, for one, because I am a woman and I have 3 daughters.
Freedom of speech.
This election, I think, results will define who we are as people and where and how our future will be shaped.
From Oconee County, for Grady Newsource, I'm Juliana Russ.
So Donald Trump won the presidential race by almost 10,000 votes in Oconee County, but in 2020 and 2016, he only won by about 8,000 votes. Looking over to Barrow County, Grady Newsource reporter Riley Kehoe updates us on the vote there.
This is my first time voting, so I think it's important to, you know, just have a voice and be able to express and, you know, get to choose who I vote for.
Jasmine Daniels is one of many first-time voters in Barrow County, where turnout surged in the 2024 general election. Over 5,000 more people voted this year compared to 2020, with a total of 43,800 881 ballots cast.
It is busier than 2020. We've had more voters come and vote early than we did in 2020. And at roughly 3 o'clock today, we hit the same amount of voters that came out in 2020 on Election Day.
Even with high early voting, Barrow County's election process ran smoothly. Here's a look at the results. In the presidential race, Donald Trump won 69.9% of the vote, while Kamala Harris received 29.5%. In Georgia's 10th congressional district, Mike Collins secured 72.1%, and Lexi Daughtry got 27.9%. Republicans Bill Calsert and Frank Ginn won in state Senate districts 46 and 47. Voters also strongly supported a homestead exemption, with about 83% approving the tax break for homeowners. Now, let's take a look to see what's next for Barrow's Board of Elections.
Yes, over the next 4 days, we'll go through all the paperwork, we'll go through all the results, the tapes, make sure everything matches correctly, do kind of a deep dive into everything, and as long as all of it matches, the board will meet on Friday and certify the results.
The official certification of the election results will take place this Friday. Reporting for Grady Newsource, I'm Riley Kehoe.
And now we turn to Jackson County, where the total voting turnout increased by almost 10,000 voters compared to the 2020 election, with 77% former President Donald Trump swept the Jackson vote. Grady Newsource reporter Tori Newman shows us what Election Day looked like across its 4 precincts.
Jackson County saw a historic election turnout this year, with 78% of its registered voters coming out to vote.
I can't commend voters enough. The early voting was so heavy, that was so good to see, and I hope this continues.
61% voted early, but on Election Day, people flocked to the county's 4 polling centers to exercise their civic duty and vote on the causes closest to them.
So many women have sacrificed, stuff for me to vote here today, so I'm going to vote today, and I just feel like it was dire this election.
Stemming back towards the morals of where we're at in this country as well, and all the things that we see happening in schools, happening in the community, happening everywhere across the country, it's a big problem.
Because it's my body, it's my choice. It's my daughter's body, it's her choice. It's my mom's body, it's her choice.
Outside of the presidential election, Republicans won all but one local and district position where people from every precinct voted. 2 constitutional amendments and 3 homestead exemption taxes were passed, but voters sided against a proposed T-Splost. Voters in West Jackson elected Ty Clack over opponent Steve Witry for the vacant District 3 commissioner seat. Hours before, Witry held a campaign watch party in Houston as the votes began to roll in.
I accept the outcome, and we'll move forward, and there'll be good things ahead.
Democrats in Jackson County focused on calling those around them to vote.
Encouraged everybody to make calls to their loved ones that they knew may not have voted yet.
Although Democrats failed to land a candidate in both Jackson's general and special elections, there was a massive win for voting turnout in America's 4th fastest growing county. For Grady Newsource, I'm Tori Newman.
Coming over to Madison County, Grady Newsource reporter Sydney Rainwater shows us the major issue in their community.
Just as expected, Madison County went red this election cycle. Former President Donald Trump and every other Republican on the ballot won the county with 70% or more of the vote in each race. Voters in Madison County told me about the many issues that brought them to the polls, especially immigration. This was a big issue in the county where less than 3% of the people who live there were born outside of the U.S.
One thing that Kamala lacks that Trump doesn't is the border control process, and I am very much safety for my child, obviously. So.
Some experts say immigration could actually be better for agricultural communities like Madison County than some may think. Because many farm workers are immigrants, their presence really impacts the economy in agricultural areas.
They're the backbone of our agricultural industry, and we saw even during COVID or when H-2A visas were restricted under the Trump administration that the ag industry really suffered.
Donald Trump, if elected, says he plans to deport undocumented immigrants, many of whom are keeping agricultural areas like Madison County afloat.
We're going to fix our borders. We're going to fix everything about our country.
Giannini says if Trump's first presidency is any indication, it's likely he'll be able to enact many of his immigration plans. For Grady Newsource, this is Sydney Rainwater.
Coming up after the break, we'll see an organization that's helping victims of abuse and how local art and politics come together in Athens. We'll be right back.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I think I finally found.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far. A place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
It only takes a spark to make a fire start.
Thank you.
Study, please. I think I finally found a place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
You're home before sunrise. On top of the house, the kids, and our future. The smell of your cooking is our alarm clock. My Shiro's day is never done. So let's start saving a little more now so we can feel prepared for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give us the personalized tips we need so we can live our lives to the fullest. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
50 years ago, a group of Athens area activists created a hotline to help victims of sexual assault and child abuse. Years later, the hotline has turned into something more. Grady Newsource reporter Faith James has the latest.
The cottage is opening its doors to the public tomorrow for an open house to mark 50 years of serving the community.
There's people who don't know about us in the community, and so we want to provide an opportunity for them to come in to see where we provide these services, because sometimes that helps make it a little less scary.
The cottage is a nonprofit that supports survivors of sexual assault and child abuse, not just in Athens-Clarke County, but across several counties in northeast Georgia. They run a 24/7 crisis hotline and offer direct services to those in need.
Our biggest goal is wanting to make sure that everyone knows that we are here to help, that we're here to give support, that, whatever they're needing, we're always a safe place to turn to.
Sexual violence affects hundreds of thousands of people in the U.S. every year. Every 68 seconds, someone is sexually assaulted, and 1 in every 10 children will experience sexual abuse in their lifetime. Brian Atkinson, the clinic staff attorney at the University of Georgia, says that more often than not, the child knew their abuser.
In about 90% of these cases, the victims and the perpetrators are connected in some way. Where the perpetrator is known to the victim in 90% of instances. They're either a family member, a family friend, a trusted member of the community.
In 2023 alone, the cottage has helped 191 adult clients, 232 child clients, and 258 caregivers.
There was actually an adult survivor that I was their advocate for back when I was the primary advocate, and their case was able to move forward through the criminal justice process, and they were able to get legal justice, and that person was sentenced and found guilty of the crime of rape.
If you or someone you know has been victimized by sexual assault or child abuse, you can call the cottage's 24-hour crisis hotline at 1-877-363-1912. Faith James, Grady Newsource.
With the election coming to a close earlier this morning, the economy has been a concern for many Americans. Grady Newsource reporter Noah Bice went to find out how the Athens Police Department are helping to provide jobs to local students.
Lieutenant Charlie Wang oversees the Athens Police Department's cadet program that provides jobs for high school and college students.
We're trying to build a gap between the youth and then a professional career. If they choose that path, it's great. If they don't, we wish them the best of luck and the hope that we prepare them for the future.
The department's cadet program introduces young adults to the workforce by having them shadow and work alongside full-time employees at the department. One of the students taking advantage of the program is Cadet Alyssa Mifflin.
I initially just needed a job. And so I was searching, I was like on Indeed, I was on Google, I was on every site ever. And I was like, let me check like the government page.
Mifflin wants to work in the criminal justice field, but doesn't necessarily want to be an officer.
When I first joined the program, I was like, oh, maybe I'm in the wrong career path. But since being here, I've learned that there's so many different jobs you can have being a civilian and still being wholly involved in the running of the department.
Currently, there are 7 cadets in the program, and Lieutenant Wang hopes to continue inspiring young adults.
My goal is just to stoke that fire to say, hey, look, it's okay if you don't want to work there, but, do something great.
Noah Bice, Grady Newsource.
This election season, people made their voices heard through their vote. Another way people have expressed themselves politically, through art. Grady Newsource reporter Ryan Lynch tells us more.
I think art is one of the most powerful ways that people communicate political ideas. So any election cycle, you see things like ads, you see political art.
Over the course of this semester, UGA professor Dr. Caitlin Stouffer's American Government class has been pulling pieces from the Georgia Museum of Art to create an exhibit called What Are You Voting For? Light, Dark, and Truth in American Politics. The exhibit is made up of pairs of artwork. One shows progress or opportunity in the United States, or the light side. The other shows challenges our country has faced, or the dark side. One piece that Stouffer highlighted showed Occupy Wall Street, which was a movement about corporate corruption and economic disparity in New York following the financial crisis of 2007 and 2008.
That one sticks out to me a lot, both because I just think it's a powerful image, but that resonates with me a lot because Occupy Wall Street was the big kind of political movement that was happening when I was in college.
Using art to express political ideas is nothing new. The oldest political cartoons date back to 18th century Europe and can still be used today to understand the past. For the younger students who participated, some of the artwork reminds them of more recent history.
In the 2020 election, there was all kinds of art conveying people's actual feelings about the candidates.
As for this election, students have already started to see its messages through art.
But from now art pieces, I think it's just more lifting voices and moving forward and seeing change happen.
For Grady Newsource, I'm Ryan Lynch.
Grady Newsource had no idea that Ryan Lynch was such a great painter. Rainy days are ahead. After the break, our reporter Sarah Sims will be giving you your 5-day weather forecast. Stay tuned.
During high school, I hung with the wrong crowd and I never graduated.
I helped Santiago in many different ways, like all fathers do, because he always wanted to go to college.
I felt a little embarrassed to come back to school, but eventually, once I came here, I knew that it's for a bigger goal.
He was very dedicated, hardworking. He connected with his teachers. He connected with other students. That was one of the key reasons why he was able to keep forging ahead.
It was amazing to see him graduate. This was one thing that meant so much to him, and of course, it meant so much to us too.
With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed. That support is everything.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
I think I finally found.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason. Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far.
A place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
It only takes a spark to make a fire start.
Thank you.
Study, please.
I think I finally found a place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
The weather this week and into the weekend.
We will start off on today. You might have noticed it's a bit gloomy outside with a high of 73, and showers are likely to take place with a low of 66. And then on Thursday, we also have very similar weather with a high of 75 and a low of 63. There might even be a little bit of fog that makes its way later into the night. And on Friday, we're going to catch a glimpse of that sun with a high of 75 that drops to 62 into the night. And on Saturday, we're going to be stepping back into those light showers that are ahead. Expect lots of clouds with a high of 72 and a low of 60 that night. And to round out the weekend on Sunday, you can count on very similar weather to Saturday with a chance of light showers and a high of 70s and a low around 60s. For the rest of the week, make sure you have your rain jacket and umbrella with you wherever you may go these random times of showers. You definitely want to be prepared. And now that you've heard the weather for the weekend, you'll know exactly how to prepare for the Dogs game on Saturday or any other weekend plans you might have. We're going to go to Melanie Levy to tell us more about all things Georgia sports after the break.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back. Woo-hoo! Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
My Shiro doesn't always wear a cape, but she always has time for a hug, a smile, for going the extra mile. My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. When you're ready to retire, we want you to be able to enjoy it. It's time to start saving now. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Hey guys, I'm Melanie Levy, and I'm back with your sports rundown for today. So let's get started. For most UGA football players, seeing the field is what they look forward to each week, unless you're the punter. In last Saturday's game against Florida, over 30% of the Dogs' drives ended in a punt. I sat down with UGA's punter, Brett Thorson, to talk more about his role on the team and their upcoming trip to Oxford this Saturday. Take a look. Brett Thorson, UGA's punter, has a unique position in which the less he sees the field, the better.
The more I punt, the more rhythm I feel, which obviously helps, and the more I want to be out there and help the team, but obviously the most I help the team is when I'm not punting.
When asked how playing with former UGA quarterback Stetson Bennett compares to playing with current quarterback Carson Beck, he says,
I think average-wise, very, very similar.
And looking forward to this Saturday's game against Ole Miss in Oxford, Thorson believes that the team has to
execute the game plan. Like always, that's usually what they stick to. If we just control what we can control, then I know usually I don't get out there.
Well, that's all I have for you tonight, but we will have to be sure to watch for Brett in this Saturday's game at 3:30. Coming up after the break, a student community farm educates the community on organic farming. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Dogs!
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
You're home before sunrise, on top of the house, the kids, and our future. The smell of your cooking is our alarm clock. My Shiro's day is never done. So let's start saving a little more now so we can feel prepared for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give us the personalized tips we need so we can live our lives to the fullest. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Julie was always a voracious reader. She carried 2 novels on an airplane because she'd read one on a 3-4 hour ride. And at some point, I began to notice that she would read a page and couldn't remember what she had just read, and she'd have to go back and read it again.
I don't remember much these days after I read, but less does for me, and I love it.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight, both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand trying to text somebody back, because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
That is my favorite commercial, guys. A local organization is teaching sustainable farming practices to community members. Grady Newsource reporter Keisha Chestnut tells us how volunteers are gaining hands-on experience while making a difference in the food system.
U Garden, a student community farm, hosts a Harvest Help event today where volunteers can come help them harvest, wash, and pack for distribution. A recent study shows that organic farming reduces greenhouse gases using 45% less energy compared to conventional farming.
For U Garden, it's more than just a farm. It's a way for students to come and learn about organic farming and also how to protect the environment.
I think it's important to shop local and support local, because not only are you helping the people in your community to help yourself, you're also reducing carbon emissions.
Volunteers today help harvest cabbage, lettuce, and broccoli. The dead plants get removed, loaded into the truck, and used for compost to fertilize the soil. Volunteer Brittany Kilgore attended to learn more about organic farming with hopes of starting her own garden.
It's important to be able to learn how our best foods and patience and all the things that we look for in life comes from taking out the time to use your hands to watch something grow.
U Garden aims to give a community a hands-on experience that combines education with practical skills in sustainable farming.
We can connect people with how their food is grown, then I think that people will have a greater appreciation for that and could encourage like a consciousness, you know, when they're purchasing produce at the grocery store or at a farmer's market.
Keisha Chestnut, Grady Newsource.
Well, guys, that is all we have for you tonight. Thanks for joining us and have a good night.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I think I finally found.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far.
A place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
It only takes a spark to make a fire start.
Thank you.
Study, please.
I think I finally found a place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
Your home before sunrise. On top of the house, the kids, and our future. The smell of your cooking is our alarm clock. My Shiro's day is never done. So let's start saving a little more now so we can feel prepared for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give us the personalized tips we need so we can live our lives to the fullest. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
On a very interesting show. This wasn't easy. A lot of you haven't slept enough. You still showed up. You still performed at your highest level. Really, really proud of you. Lots of creativity, lots of passion in what you did. Tori, I was so impressed with how much you were able to jam into a minute 30, including a night watch party. I couldn't believe how much you jammed into results, election watch party, voting, everything. Really, really loved what you did and loved all the other packages. They, like Sydney was saying, but won't we be saying the same thing? Well, you guys didn't. You focused on immigration. I thought that went very well. It came together. It added a lot of perspective because that's a huge part of Trump's win is based on his stance on the election and immigration. I meant immigration. And so that was such an interesting aspect. Juliana kind of slice of life, lots of diverse. We heard from so many different people. It really gave our viewers and me as a viewer a real sense of how many different views and different kinds of people live in our community. Loved the political art piece. It was very well done. And I loved your reaction to that was just so cute. Yeah. And yeah, that came together so good. The easel and everything. I know, that's what I thought. Yeah, yeah. But again, and I saw a lot of passion in what you were doing. And I really, really appreciate that. Sarah, your mic was not on, but we still heard you and saw your beautiful face, and you did a great job. But the mic, I think you forgot, or maybe it turned itself.
We ran a sound check. They said they had it.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, yeah. And Mel doing double duty, and Nigel, sorry, your baby is going to make it. It's going to be a digital baby. His Turkish delight. It would have, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, Mel, thank you. Savannah, that was very interesting. I love that the DJ and that, yeah, it came together. Yeah, it was great. You had the results in the lead, and then you gave us another different, perspective on things. And Keisha, you're a great photographer. I love those close-ups and how you creative stand-up, and all of you. Just, I'm really proud of you because I think this is a final news show, and from start to finish, you really amazed me. And Riley, also very well done. Riley also jam-packed. She had results in. It wasn't easy for her because people are traumatized in Barrow, but she still. You were still able to pull it off with some great content. Very well done. Faith, very interesting package. You're also a great photographer. Really loved how you visualized the fact that you couldn't show the children, and you showed an empty swing when you were talking. I mean, little things like that really impressed me, the way you presented with a lot of sensitivity and depth. What the cottage is doing. So I thought it came together very, very well. Thanks to Elizabeth and to all of you who pitched in the last moment to help us. Noah, I liked yours also very nicely done, very nicely shot. Again, a slice of life, something. You followed your beat very well. That's not an easy beat, the police. But you always seem to find stories, new stories there, including when crime happened. Of course, you did that as well. But also you found different aspects of police work to show us, like that cadet program. So it came together very well. I don't want to miss anybody. And Nigel, I will watch your Turkish Delight. That was a nice, again, cultural, bringing a little international culture and sophistication to what we're doing. And I'm sorry we couldn't run it. Yeah. So, and Ethan, very, very well done. Your Grady Daily was very strong. Your delivery was very strong. The reaction that you had a mix of emotions. You were serious in the beginning, and yet you found the humor to react, to Ryan's package. And yeah, a great interview. I could tell you there were certain places where I could tell where you'd edited, but you managed. I heard that this was what Jackson said it was 13 minutes, and
that
you.
Was actually the wrong one.
That was the wrong one.
It just ended up working out.
Okay. And you were extra polite. You thanked Mel twice. Yeah. Once live and one. So you're very well mannered young man. Yes. No, that was just the least thing. It was a very smooth show, very interesting. And Christian, I'm sorry, I did something worse to him. Yeah. So, yeah, but he understood why we couldn't. But he tried so hard. What I appreciate in him is that he worked so hard. He was a live reporter till late at night, and he still came. He was still passionate about something, but it wasn't quite the story that we expected. And so I had to disappoint him and tell him, we don't have a story here. But he tried so hard, and I really appreciate this. Yeah, so.
Oh, sorry, I'm laughing at your reaction.
And Timmy, thank you again for and I hope you guys will join us for pizza on next Wednesday. Yeah. And Jackson, great job. Would you like to share something about producing? You produced our final and one of our most important shows, actually, news shows. Excuse me.
To play around and add some different stuff, and we got to have Melanie live in here, and we definitely went over about a good 5.5 minutes smooth over
I'll
that
take
timeline.
it out of your paycheck.
So that's not ideal, but we got to play around and just have some more fun with it because it was post-election, so that was fun. It is cool to kind of start with nothing at the start of the day and see how you can work everything together and make it flow. That's a fun part. I don't love the timing aspect. That's a little more stressful. But overall, I thought it was pretty fun, and definitely thank you to you guys who helped out at the end, Elizabeth and Lizzie and Melanie, everybody that just pulled together, helping with leads and everything like that. And I probably annoyed Juliana today, but she got a good portion in too. So yeah, everybody was helping out. Thank y'all for good content, and sorry for the 2 floats we had to do, but should just ran them anyway. We would have been 8 minutes over, but but it worked out.
Yeah, and I just love the teamwork. I love the way you became sort of a family and you helped each other out, and which you manifested today, even on your last news day. Of course, we have a wonderful show that I've already seen the first Sojo package. Looking forward to the others. We're going to have a great Sojo show. And we will have Michael Davis, who you know already. He'll be joining us. Do you know him? You know him? No, you don't. My former students know him. But you will meet him. He is in charge of their curriculum and work with universities on solutions journalism. Really nice guy. So he will watch the show and critique it live. And I'm hoping we can submit it to their story tracker. I think I mentioned to you that one of my students from my capstone class won the best solutions journalism story for last year. So there is potential there. They think very highly of our school as a hub for the Southeast. And so we have an opportunity to do something very special. Jules, I've given you extra time. If everybody sticks to the 4 minutes, then you've got 22 minutes in a show. So 4 times 5 is 20. Yeah, so that gives you 2 minutes. I think you would say 3 minutes. 3 minutes, that's right. 15 minutes or 7 don't. Yes, 3 minutes. That's like, how did I come up with 7 minutes extra? So yes. So 7 minutes extra. Think of how you want to do it. You might want to invite each group to kind of talk about a little bit about the process or whatever you want it to be, or, you know, make it a Gen Z kind of thing. I don't want to interfere.
Everyone could send me their Sojo script or final package, just where it is. If you could send it to me so I can at least see what it looks like, that would be awesome. Yeah, I have Barrow's, but if everyone else could send it to me, that would be helpful, just so I can see what I'm working with.
Yeah, yeah. And anything I can help as well. I think we'll have enough time on Monday to work on that.
Will we have a pitch meeting on Monday or no? We should have an editorial meeting to discuss.
Yeah. So I would like to have a pitch meeting because, and I'll tell you why, because if there is something, God forbid, like a Barrow County shooting, we've got to do a live, everything, you know, gets tossed to the side. You know, I even had to cancel a King's interview because there was breaking news. So, I mean, even Kings don't get special treatment when there's breaking news. God forbid something happens, you know, like Barrow. We all have to be, you know, ready to go 9 a.m. and brainstorm how we're going to do the breaking news. So we need to be, all of us need to be there, and we'll talk about the Sojo show, and also we could also take an opportunity to talk about the farewell show, because Savannah also needs to talk to you. You need to take a vote, nominate your packages, the categories where you want to be nominated. Everybody should take a vote, because you guys need to know if you won the category, you need to do a package on the backstory of your story. That was your idea, Christian, right?
Well, yeah, sort of. Not on my own, not on your own. Well, I guess we could do that. I more so had a vision of doing it on someone else. Like, if, let's say Noah win like best package, I would interview him.
About the process, the backstory of it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
Okay.
We could do it. I hadn't thought about that, but that would be cool maybe to do it on your own thing.
Yeah, because you can show, you know, Sydney, what did you want to say?
Yeah, that's because you would already have your
Yeah, because you have B-roll, something might have gone wrong. I'm telling you, when I worked at CNN, one of the most popular shows was called Backstory, and it was all about reporters talking about, you know, the stories that they did and some things that were challenging, things that were funny, things that went wrong, how they reacted to it. And viewers just love to see how the sausage is made. They just love to see it. And so I just loved your idea and it was much better than my ideas. So, but you guys need more time. If you win that category, you need time to gather your B-roll or to think of how you're going to present it. So on Monday, all of you can work a little bit on your backstory, and so we make a special show. Also, if you want to add, I don't know, Savannah, what your ideas are. Students usually add a blooper reel at the end. If you want to end it with a blooper, that could be something. Again, that will take you guys time, maybe on Monday, to kind of look through your bloopers and see who wants to do the blooper reel. Somebody has to put it together. So there are lots of things that we will. You want to do?
I'll edit everybody sends me their stuff and I edit it together.
Excellent.
I do that.
Excellent. Oh, but you're also digital. Are you digital? No, you're not digital for.
No, I'm digital for Sojo.
So Sojo, okay.
I can do that. I love bloopers.
Yeah, I want somebody who's passionate about it. Yeah. Yeah. But thank you for that great idea. Yeah, the highlights got it. It could be instead of a blooper, a highlights. Yeah. Yeah, anybody wants to share any ideas for either the Sojo or for the farewell show?
Well, just so we're all clear.
You want to grab a mic? Yeah.
Okay, who did we decide to do the Sojo? Who's the Sojo anchor, whether sports, and also for our last show, who's the Sojo anchor?
Okay.
And then
No sports or weather is just a
okay,
solution.
okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Throughout the show, we'll need to be on air to talk about things with Sarah. I'm still figuring it out, but let me know if you feel.
So dress nicely on Monday.
Let me know if you think you would like to be the spokesperson for your county in case I need a spokesperson for your county.
Okay.
I can't promise that all counties will have someone on there to talk about their stuff, or that it'll just be one person. But if you feel like you want to be that person, if need be, let me know. That would be awesome.
Are you thinking like a panel?
Well, maybe a panel, maybe a Q&A, maybe a stand-up at the smart board talking about a couple things that you guys, like some research you guys do. So those will all be options. It'll just really depend on your story and what makes the most sense.
Grab a mic for the sake of our live viewers.
Well, for the last show then, since it's more fun, can we have 2 anchors or?
For the last, whatever you guys, Savannah's the boss. Grab a mic.
What if we change anchors? Every segment? Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't care. 2 anchors. Maybe like if there's probably gonna be a lot of you guys interested in anchoring, but if you do want to send me a message saying I would like to anchor, I'm happy to take that into consideration. I don't know how I would pick that, but
You pick it as whoever presents the best idea, ask them to send you an idea of how they're going to do it. Let's make it a competition. The farewell show is the last show. She's doing the last show. So Savannah's doing the last show, and Jules is doing the Sojo show.
Maybe it would make sense for the person who's best anchor to be anchored.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not like, as somebody who is probably not going to win best anchor, like I feel like it kind of makes sense for the person who wins best anchor to be best anchor. But whatever y'all want to do. If you Yeah, I don't want to put it on. I'm sorry.
no, it's totally fine. What would y'all prefer to do? I know probably a couple of y'all want to be anchor. Would you like to like pitch the best idea and then we pick from there, or do you want to?
This is like more of a relax, like a fun one. I think
Somebody get her a mic.
so we can bounce off each other.
Oh yeah, co-anchors.
Yeah.
Cool.
Guys, I've already said we can do 2 anchors, but I'm saying how are we picking the 2 anchors?
I threw out the idea of doing the best anchor because people were throwing a lot of stuff at Savannah and it was kind of a lot.
Raise your hand if you'd want to be the anchor for the farewell show, so then she can at least know. Okay.
I would be cool to be anchor, but it also is a lot of people throwing that at Savannah. So I thought to make it easier for Savannah not having to choose if we want to go down that route, just whoever wins best anchor, boom, you're anchor. That's what I said a minute ago. No, I threw that out so you don't have to choose because it seems like
No,
that
we'll
was
have-
coming at you and it was a lot. So
Yeah.
When we vote for the superlatives.
Yeah.
Whoever the top 2.
Yeah, we can do whoever's like anchor and or we could do
Yeah, that's the fairest.
or we could
Good
do,
idea.
I don't know if y'all want I don't know if it's possible to do 3 or we could do like a segment, but it could be like best anchor, best sports anchor, best weather anchor, and then something all 3 of them in the studio.
I will workshop it. Maybe we can have someone at the weather camera doing something. I'll try to work something out. Maybe we can try to get like 4 or 5 people.
I just didn't want it to be a bunch of
Technically,
people
it's
saying,
going to
"Pick
be
me, pick
very
me, pick
tricky
me."
to have 4 or 5 people, so we have to talk to Andrew.
2 and then 2?
If we have to talk to Andrew how feasible that is in a live show.
Okay.
Yeah. And it'll confuse the viewers to have so many anchors. I think an anchor anchors the show.
If there's a segment that we're doing
They just leave.
Is there
They just leave.
going to be a sports and weather anchor necessary on Wednesday?
No, we don't. We're not.
But what if there's like a sports story we wanted to highlight or a weather segment we wanted to highlight? Like, then that's what we do.
And I'll do it.
Then we change. We go with the flow and with the news. If there's a news story on Wednesday.
Well, I'm just saying, like in our categories, right? With like sports and weather are categories. So it's like if that's part of the show anyway, why wouldn't we have a sports and weather segment to allow more people to be anchors? You know, like best weather anchor could be like I don't know.
So you still want to have weather and sports, but that kind of takes away from the whole idea of the show, which
We could
is
do weather and sports
backstory.
bloopers.
Maybe the backstory. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, I thought you were saying this. Oh, yeah, I like that. Yeah, yeah, and that works because yeah. Yes. So. Yeah. So whoever wins best news anchor, best sports anchor, and best weather anchor will anchor. Yeah. Thank you, Nigel.
Best behind the scenes superlative though. That wouldn't be fair, I guess, because like you wouldn't get a.
No, you're doing a package.
On the show.
No, you're doing a package. Whatever.
You will do a package with a stand-up on your role.
No, think about it. The anchor, like if
you can front it.
So I'm saying, like, let's say someone wins best producer, they do not get to go in the show.
Not everyone who is
They.
going to be voted on something is going to be in the show because we only have 20.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, be expected to might not talk about what you want.
Well, I mean, if we do the bet, okay, like if we do the 3 anchors, that's already minus 3 people because they're not going to be having packages in the show. They're going to be anchoring. We don't have to give them we don't have to give them special
Yeah, but
segments.
we already have 3 anchors that do a show every single time. We had everyone do a story today, and still 2 or 3 stories got voted.
Yeah, but we didn't go with a 4-minute interview, right? And there were longer packages. So if each one of you keeps your backstory to 1 minute.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because like we're not always
the show has
do a
22
minute
minutes.
2-minute packages on a previous.
You have
package.
15.
We don't have to have 2 sources.
Yeah.
We don't have to do the normal stuff. It's going to be like a subtle. Everybody gets like a minute. A lot of them aren't even going to have sources. So I feel like it's going to be feasible for everybody to do it. We'll have the 3 anchors.
Yeah.
So everybody can be in the show. It shouldn't be fair for somebody to not be in the last show. That's help out the work we've been doing for the past.
Yeah, and you only have 15 people because we have 2 digital producers. And well, the best digital producers.
And we can put stuff on digital.
On digital.
I'm gonna say we can.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody should get the chance to like be in some capacity of the last show.
Yeah.
But I don't want anybody to get left out.
Well, you've got 18 people.
Exactly. Yeah. Like we don't all have to do a minute and a half or 2-minute package.
18 people, 18 minutes.
And then respectfully, the 3 anchors.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't do packages.
And we have 22 minutes. So.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we have 22 minutes for 18 people. She is the boss.
A lot of puzzle pieces in this from what it sounds like. So just try to bear with me here. I'm going to look at the categories again and try to figure out, because also it's got to be between 18 people, 1 person each gets a category. So it's going to be a lot of overlapping. So just please try to bear with me a little bit.
Yeah.
I will get back to you for the categories and stuff. From what it sounds like, we're not doing paper plate. I don't know. Why?
We could do paper plate.
We're talking about other segments and stuff, so
I always thought we could.
We paper plate. That could just be like a fun thing we do after. Yeah.
Yeah, when we have pizza.
I thought our post show critique was.
What I thought we were gonna do would be have like a ceremony and film that for B-roll. Because like when you say like, oh yeah, you want best package, how do you know that? Because you see him walk up and receive it. You know?
I mean, we could do it on. Yeah, that was the whole plan was to do that on Monday while we're doing the Sojo show.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So the whole plan was
To record the.
To record the like
nice.
fake ceremony, like not fake, like our real ceremony, record it on Monday.
Yeah.
And then we'll have that as B-roll for Wednesday.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. But you guys have to vote, right, before Monday, so.
Everybody remember to vote before Monday.
Everyone vote before Monday.
It's in the general channel. It's in the general channel. It's a Google Doc. Yeah, in the general channel. I